Hello friends, I welcome you all to our webinar on Distributed Scrum team. I'm Saket Bansal and I run a company named Eisenbridge Consultancy, and today's session is given by Sakshi. She is working closely with us for various community related web interaction. She recently spoke in two of our hangouts which we conducted under Discuss Agile channel. So she will be guiding us through distributed team scenario and using Scrum in a distributed environment. The session will work in a format where she will go through her presentation, and whatever query you have during the presentation, you can keep typing using the question box. And once the presentation slides are over, hopefully within 45 minutes, the remaining 15 to 20 minutes we will use to answer your queries is based on the questions which we get during this presentation. Yeah, Sakshi, over to you.
Thank you so much, Saket. Hello everyone, I am Sakshi Mahajan. I am here today to discuss about distributed Scrum team, the recipe for success, in our distributed Scrum team. So just a little about my background. I have around 11 plus years of experience in the IT industry. I am pmi-acp certified. I'm currently working as an Agile Technical Coach with Capital One Bank, which is a Fortune 500 company in Virginia, US. Along my career, I though started as a developer, but along the way I wore many hats in the Agile world, where I've played a team member, a Scrum Master, a product owner, an Agile PM, and as well as an Agile coach in the industry. My experience is in coaching Scrum, Kanban, as well as the XP practices. Also, while working from India, mainly I used to work with clients either in US or Europe, and we always ended up doing distributed Scrum. So that is from where I have all my experience about distributed Scrum. It's my hands-on experience on various challenges that I've faced and how we can overcome them. So here is the agenda. We'll be talking about Scrum in brief. I'll just touch upon it. For details, you can refer to other Eisenbridge videos and webinars that Saket organizes regularly. But still, just to get you started, I'll talk a little about Scrum. Then why is the need for distributed teams? The challenges that we face. There's some myths regarding Scrum that we keep hearing, and why they're not actually realities, and the various models of distributed Scrum. And after all these discussions, we'll come up to the solutions that we can put in the industry, where we can use in our day-to-day projects for success. So in brief, Scrum, we all know, includes a team of around 7 plus minus 2 people, which includes a Scrum Master, a product owner, and the team. Team has to be cross-functional. Anyone required for building the project, be it a developer, a QA, or a UX person, needs to be part of it. The product owner's responsibility is to come up with the product backlog, which is nothing but a list of requirements or features that need to be built in the product. From that product backlog, the team decides to pick up a small piece and put it in a sprint. Sprint is something like a duration of 2 to 4 weeks, which you can use, in which you can develop the feature that you've picked up, the sprint backlog that you've formed from the product backlog, and then at the end of the sprint, you need to have a potentially shippable product. Also, every day, Scrum suggests that we have daily Scrum meetings, which are organized by the Scrum Master, who takes care, and even the team takes care, that there are no impediments that the team has while working on whatever features they have picked up. Again, after these 2 to 4 weeks finish, we have a inspect and adapt session, where we review what we've built, we retrospect what went wrong and what went right, and then the complete cycle repeats again. So this is Scrum in a nutshell. Now, talking about the distributed teams. Why is there a need for distributed teams? The need for distributed teams started coming up when we had the need for high quality resources. Now, I want a resource who is not physically present where I want him to. But I know that, okay, I'm working from India, but he's available to me in US. Now, either I just let the resource go away and, compromise on quality resources, or I think that why not, just use the resource where he is and we can, coordinate with each other in some way. So this is where a distributed team is needed. Also business agility. Okay, we are working in one country or one city, but the client is at some other city, or the need for that product is at some other place. So high business agility also, forces you to at times go distributed. Okay, let's, do it. And then cost effective. Cost effective in the sense that specifically if I take an example of United States. So America has a lot of, a big IT industry, but the cost is very high for them. The resources that they hire are, very expensive. So that from there came the need of offshoring it to countries like India, where you get resources who are, not charging them as much as their natives in America do, but are, are there at a lower cost. So from there came the need of offshoring, and for cost effectiveness, companies started, going offshoring in India, and came the need of a distributed team. But with the need for distributed teams also comes the challenges for a distributed team. Now, what are the challenges that we face? Some very common challenges that we face are like language. Now, all across the world, there's so many languages that people speak. So now we are not, we are working in India. There are people working in US. We understand English. They understand English, but still the accent that they talk in, and even the fluency that people have, it's different, because your mother tongue is your mother tongue. There is a challenge in adopting another language. So this becomes a big challenge while working with people across the globe. Time zones, especially if you worked in India for any client in US, you know that it's only after our evening in India that people in US are available. So the time zone difference that is there is makes your things very difficult, because the whole day when you need some answers to your stuff, your client is in some other time zone, you don't have them available, physically present with you. Cultures. Cultures again, countries like India, Japan, US, Europe have different cultures of how to, the mannerisms of how to be with other people. It's very different, and it takes a lot of time, for anyone who's been born, brought up in a country to understand the flavors, the cultures of the other countries. So it's not an easy process. Then there is lack of visibility. Lack of visibility in the sense when I am sitting at one location and I am not, sitting with another person, interacting with that person face to face, it's difficult, to understand what is happening at the other side. So a lot of effort goes in building up that trust, where you see that, okay, you trust the person sitting at, a globally different location, geographically different place, and you still, you trust that person, and whatever he's doing is visible to you. So things like that need some effort, need some things to be set up, which we'll discuss in the later slides, and then you can actually overcome this challenge. And then various project phases are played by people distributed across. What do I mean by this sentence is more of, we have requirements to be done, we have development to be done, we have QA to be done, and there's so many phases already in the project, and there is a possibility that the product manager is at a different location, the developers are at a different location, the QA is is located differently. So these all also add up. The different project phases being at different locations also add up to the challenges of a distributed team. Now, before we actually go to talking about the solutions of distributed Scrum and all, I wanted to point out some myths that we keep hearing about distributed Scrum. The one that we hear a lot is that Scrum methodology can only be followed in co-located teams. We've been hearing that from the Scrum people, and we've read it also at some places. So though it has been empirically proven that co-located teams can deliver fast, but Scrum is not impossible in distributed teams. So you can't say that it's impossible. It's okay. Obviously, if you are co-located, it will be easier for you. People are available where you are. It's definitely easy, but it's not completely impossible. There are ways that you'll have to, you'll have to mend your ways, you'll have to change the way you've been working, but it is definitely possible. The other myth is that distributed development becomes chaotic. Oh, there are people all over the world who are working on it, and how do okay, I am talking to one person, the other person is talking to someone else. We all have our own things, in our minds. We have formed groups or something. Yes, this can become a challenge. This can become an issue. But again, it's not chaotic if you do it the correct way. And the third myth that I wanted to talk about was distributed development increases the amount of documentation. Now, if you see this cartoon also from Dilbert, it's all talking about, what people feel, that as soon as they feel that, okay, we are moving agile, we are following Scrum methodology, they start, thinking that, oh, we don't want any documentation. But that's not correct. Relevant documentation, minimal documentation is definitely needed. If the product owner does not document what he needs to be built up, will it be easy for the developers to follow it? No. But it is not that distributed Scrum adds up to this documentation. Any normal Scrum that we're doing, even with a co-located team, needs some documentation. So again, this is again a myth that it adds up or increases the documentation. We'll talk about documentation a little later, that how we can document the relevant stuff, and it is easy for the team members to and less effort for the team members to document stuff and use it later. Now there are various models of distributed Scrum. What are the various models that we see in distributed Scrum? My past experience, I have experienced at least 3 of these models, which I'll be talking about right now. The first one that is there is when the Scrum team is co-located, means the developers, the QA, the cross-functional team that we're talking about, the UX, the DB people, even the Scrum Master, they're co-located, but the product owner is at a different place. This scenario is very common in a case where when it's offshoring. So the client has a team of product management, and the product owner sits in maybe US or Europe, wherever the office is, and the team, all the development work and creating the product has been offshored to countries like India. In such a scenario, it is very much possible that the team is together, but the product owner is at a different place. Now, what are the challenges in this case? With such a scenario, the biggest challenge is that the team needs the product owner to understand the functionality. Now, while working on the sprint, while facing different issues, coming up with queries on the requirements or the story that they are working on, they need to talk to the product owner. But the product owner is not in the same time zone. There is a possibility that they're in the same country and at least on the same time zone, but then also they are at least a call away. They're not co-located. But if the product owner is in a totally different country and at a different time zone, then that adds up to the challenge. There are ways that we'll discuss where this can be, this challenge could be gone with and be minimalized, and the Scrum team gets a benefit of, a product owner being co-located. But yes, this definitely adds to the challenges. The other model that is there is the complete development team is distributed. This kind of a scenario is, seen a lot in startups. What happens is that, some people come together and think of, creating a product, but they actually don't have a physical office with them. Now what do? When it is a scenario that they don't have an office, they provide a provision, or they hire people who are located anywhere in the world, but they just need to have awesome skills, awesome technical skills to deliver their product. So they try not to add a lot to their infrastructure, or the place they are built a common office space, but they think, okay, we have a lot of tools available, a virtual space, let's have anyone can sit anywhere. But everyone being distributed has its own challenges. How do you communicate? How do you talk about your challenges? How do you talk about the queries that you face day in, day out? So that ways, this is a difficult scenario for the distributed team. There are other cases also, except startups, that at times you have a dev team co-located, but because of business reasons, your QA team is at a very different location, and your product owner is in a third location. So maybe your client is sitting in, your product owner is sitting in US, your team in India is distributed between Noida, Gurgaon, Bangalore, and Pune, places like that. In that cases, again, now how do you bring teams together? How do you bring people talking to each other? Because that's really needed while working on projects. You can't just sit in a silo and work. What do you want to do? You have to interact. You are dependent on others. You have to communicate and discuss, brainstorm about the design, a lot of things that are there. So this becomes a challenge. Now there is a scaled Scrum version 2, where you have a big product to build up. You have a team of product owners, a product management group that is there, and you have multiple Scrum teams. Now, whenever you scale Scrum, it has its own challenges. How to handle different Scrum teams. We identify ways like Scrum of Scrums, or there are a lot of frameworks that are available now, like SAFe and LESS, which we can discuss in some other session. But if these Scrum teams are not co-located, then again it adds up to your complexity. So this is another thing which is a big challenge that has to be overcome when working in a scaled Scrum model. I hope many of you have worked in at least one of these three models over your career and have faced a lot of challenges. We can take up the questions that you feel you've faced, the complexities that are there, and we can discuss them after we go through these slides. But as I talk about the solution, we will discuss over these three Scrum models that we have defined, that how we can try and fix some things or make lives easier for everyone, because we all know distributed Scrum is here. We can't simply ignore it. It is here to stay. So it is, if it's you have to do it, then you have to find an efficient and best way to do distributed Scrum. Now what are the solutions? First and foremost, do you have the Agile mindset? Do you simply just want to follow Scrum methodology or Kanban or anything, but actually don't understand the what exactly is Agile? You need to, because without the mindset, because if you don't have this mindset of being adaptive to change and transparent with everyone and all the the principles that are there in Agile, you can't actually do any of the you cannot work on any of the Agile methodologies, be it Scrum, XP or Kanban. You are doomed to fail. So this is the first thing that you guys need to have in mind, that first understand what Agile framework, what Agile principles are all about, what is the Agile manifesto, and why it's, what all things is it focusing on. Like if you look at this cartoon again from Dilbert, I really like these ones. Sorry, I'll just go back. Yeah. So here is saying that we are outsourcing half of our programming work to take advantage of the time difference. We'll hand off, so what he's thinking, the manager, that he'll hand off his requirements at the end of a work and get back the finished code the next morning. You know, if you have this kind of mindset as a manager, definitely you're not going to get what you are thinking of, the code the next day, but you're actually planning to go for a project that's gonna fail. And the developer team there doesn't have any trust of you, and they're like, oh, we don't know, you know, I have no idea what they want. Just let's assume. So this is the things that you need to keep in mind, that it's not a silver bullet that, okay, by distributed Scrum, if I want to be cost effective, if I just want to save money and I say, okay, let me just offshore it to India or some other country, I'll get results when I'm there in the morning. No, you will have to put in effort for that. It comes with some effort, but yes, it's initial effort. Once the team is built, once people get used to the way you work, it will be awesome. Now, what exactly is the solution? What is the recipe for success? 3 things to keep in mind. Just these 3 things. My experience says that if you communicate properly, collaborate a lot with people who are geographically not together, and build trust, there you go. You've got the solution. That's it. But building up, trust, communicating very efficiently, and collaborating with people who are not from your, at the same time zone, don't speak the language that you speak at times, and are culturally very different. It's initially definitely a challenge. But slowly and gradually, you'll feel that just putting in some effort on all these 3 things will give you a good result. Let's talk about some of these one by one. Open communication channels. So what happens at times is that people feel, especially as old school managers, that oh, I can't lose control. I need to have all the control, and they start becoming the bottlenecks. So with control, what they feel is that, okay, my team cannot talk to anyone at the client side or with anyone at a different location, because that way I will lose my importance. If you remain with that mindset, I'm not sure if you lose your importance or not, but you'll definitely lose the project. So stop being a bottleneck. Let people in one team who are one Scrum team talk to people in the other Scrum team. Or if you're just one Scrum team who are differently located, just try to communicate, make your people, open up channels for them, something like video conferencing, tools like Skype and all, to interact with each other. That way, you'll open up channels for them, and anyone who has a question can ask the product owner or the other person in the development team. So I'm working on a technology or a framework in Java, and I know the other person sitting there knows a lot about it. So if I talk directly, definitely I'll gain more than rather going through a channel. So stop being bottlenecks. If you're a manager or if you're a dev team, ask people to help you in opening up channels, be it chatting through some tools, be it through video conferencing. Everything helps. Definitely video conferencing is the best tool which can be used for all these things. Now, in a scenario where again people are not co-located, are distributed, there is another way that you can build up trust between each other and try to understand them, is through visit the other people. We can have, if everyone is, if it is a scenario of the team where all people are differently located, we can at least, in 6 months or 3 months, or at least at the start of the project or release, ask everyone to come together at a place. I know it comes with a cost. It's not for free, but if we can try that way, when they sit with each other, when they talk to each other and try to understand each other's perspective, it will be very easy for them to, understand their culture and build up the trust. Even a 2-week, interaction like this, I've experienced it builds up trust, because now you can link, you can attach a face and a voice to a person's name. You feel comfortable when you see that person in flesh in front of you, that okay, how does that person work? So it's definitely very advantageous, and it also helps you understand each other's style of work. How do they work? So at times you feel, oh, I don't know what that person is doing. He comes at 11 and I don't know what he does. But when you sit with that person and sees, oh my God, this is how he's working. It actually helps you build trust, bond together, and understand each other. Now, include all in the Scrum ceremonies. Whenever the team is distributed across the globe, there is a lot of time it happens that there is a tech lead in the team or an architect in the team, and they tell the other people in the team that okay, we can you can go home, we don't need you in the Scrum meetings, and we can just talk, represent you in the meetings. But it should be something like that. If possible, all should meet at least once a day to sync thoughts. The Scrum meeting, even if people are in different time zones, you can work out at least 15 minutes or 15 to 20 minutes in a day where everyone can get into a call and talk to each other about what they've been doing, the basic Scrum questions. What did I do yesterday? What am I doing today? And what are my impediments? Because that's what is the advantage of the Scrum meeting in the morning. You tell each other what your impediments are. Just writing and sending them doesn't help. When you talk about them, you get instant ideas which help improve your productivity. But definitely you need to keep in mind time zone differences, respect everyone, and plan it accordingly. If you ask someone to be available at at their dinner times or early in the morning, it gets very difficult. You need to respect each other and set up a time which suits all. Now everyone can be made part of the sprint planning, which is just 2 to 3 hours long, but it's just once in 2 to 3 weeks. So we can at least take out this much time, even though it's not very comfortable for us, it's late in the evening or a little early in the morning. We can at least take out that time to sit together and brainstorm. The advantage of having a sprint planning meeting, we all know, is more about the talking, the design discussions that we do. So in such a scenario, just taking out 2 to 3 hours of something which is not very comfortable to you, and just ensuring that you have a video conference or something like that where you can see people's expressions, you can see people talking, it really helps. Also, when it's demo time or retrospective time, again, these are some, they're not very frequent events that you need. Just taking out time for these events will actually ensure that your project, your product is on the road of success. When everyone showcases in demos, what happens? People who worked on them, they feel good. It's not that someone else is, working, is showing it for them. They are showing their work, their hard work that they've done. So it's really nice. And in retrospective, when everyone comes together, you come to know that, okay, what are the other people thinking? What is everyone, having in mind, and where did we, what could have we done better while working on them? So this is a very important thing that we should keep in mind, that the Scrum ceremonies, we have to ensure the Scrum Master needs to, set these up in such a fashion that it's comfortable for people all over the globe. Continuous integration. Though this is an XP practice, but when people are not, in fact, I would suggest even people are co-located and a lot of people writing code, Jenkins or something like that for continuous integration needs to be set up even before we start writing one piece of code, even one line of code. Continuous integration helps you to merge your code or bring your code together, even if you're sitting at totally different locations. It ensures that there are lesser surprises coming later on, and it gives you a quick feedback cycle about what you've been working on. The most important thing to utilize this continuous integration thing is that frequent check-ins are done. People sitting at at one location and just coding for days and keeping things on their machine and not integrating and not checking in the code, not committing the code, it is of no use to have the continuous integration tool available. People need to get into the habit of frequent check-ins, which should be more than once in a day, not even once in a day, more than once in a day, and ensure that whenever they have committed, the build is sane, the build passes and it doesn't fail. So as Agile always suggests that the teams needs to be self-organized, self-managed. This only comes when you start taking the ownership of things. When people, each member in the team, be it a developer or a QA or a Scrum Master or a product owner, starts taking ownership of his job himself. No one is there to pinpoint in that case. So things like frequent check-ins and then code review automation, you write your code, you get it reviewed through tools which are available. We can discuss about more of continuous integration practices maybe in a different webinar, but just to get you started and start thinking about what all can be done when people are not writing code sitting together. In fact, even when they're sitting together, these are some things which actually help you to build high quality products. Then there are other things like a static code analyzer which can be put in the Jenkins. It comes as a plugin to many continuous integration tools which help you understand that the code that you've committed, it does a code review on its own, at a static level, not for your logic and everything, but at least for the semantics of the coding language you're using, and it helps you understand the code that you're writing. A quick feedback is given to you on how is your code that you're writing. Apart from that, an automation suite can be integrated, unit testing suite, regression testing, or something like that can be fit into a continuous integration tool, and it helps. You can have nightly builds or per commit builds to help you, and it reduces the risk of finding bugs late in lifecycle. Now just imagine you don't test things, you don't commit your code frequently, and you're working on an important piece of work for days, and now it's only after days when you commit your code or you try to test it after days that you realize, oh my god, there's so many bugs, and the effort to fix them late in the life cycle is always very huge. We can talk about more of these maybe in a later session. Another thing, digital ALM tools. There are tools available in the market for the lifecycle management, for the Agile lifecycle management, like ThoughtWorks Mingle. Then there is Rally, Jira. I'm definitely sure you guys must have used them, one of these tools, while working on projects. You can use digital whiteboards, when you're not together. So the best thing is that the team huddles on a whiteboard, discusses whatever the problems are, whatever issues they're facing, or any design discussion. But what if you're not physically located? There are digital whiteboards available. You can sit together, have something on your machines. You can look for some digital whiteboards that are available and discuss it there. And then a very important thing is that the backlog, the burn downs, the defects, everything should be available on a tool so that everyone can see them. So these are some practices which, when adapted, which a Scrum Master can help you, or your organization can help you with the tools, and they make your life very easy. Apart from these, one more thing I would like to talk about is the collaboration tools. Now, what all collaboration tools are there? Now, again, the challenge that we know that different time zones and different location hinders collaboration. So what do we do? Documenting. Documenting on documents, Word documents and Excel make searching and all these other things a little difficult, and then you keep sharing it either on a drive or just keep emailing them to each other, and it makes your life difficult. Instead of that, the idea of documenting on wikis makes it very easy, because everyone can contribute and everyone can co-own it. If there is some installation that one person in the team has done. He just needs to mention 4 to 5 important points that he feels is, that were needed. Just a minimal documentation with some screenshots which can be added to the wiki. Now, if someone else comes across an error while doing it, they can simply build up on that page that is there on a wiki in a fashion like, okay, troubleshooting. I found this error and this is what I did to fix it. Now, just imagine if a person had spent a day fixing that issue and some other person in the team faces a similar kind of error or similar kind of issue, what will he do? He'll again spend 1 day or 2 days debugging, okay, what can be done, or he can simply open the wiki and see, oh, one of my colleagues faced a similar issue and this is how he fixed it. Let me give it a try. So even if you're not sitting together, because you're writing your thoughts, collecting your thoughts at a common location, it really helps. It really saves time. There are also some tools available, like MindMister, which actually provides a very good mind mapping tool which can be used for brainstorming. Everyone can add their ideas there, and then over a video conference or over a call they can discuss whatever each person has added. So anyone sitting anywhere in the world can contribute to it together. No one person owns it. It's co-owned and everyone can give their ideas. Though wiki is the best way to document, but at times there is a need of Word documents and presentations and Excels. Google Docs provides you a way that you can share your documents, and these are for free. The basic things that are available in these, they are for free. You can go for a premium version of these, but the basic one for MindMister, Google Docs, they're all available for free. And I think Google Docs, almost every one of us is now comfortable using these Google Docs and the Google Drives. Everyone has used it. There is another thing that is there, which is the Google Apps. Many of us might have not tried them, but if you search Google Apps, you'll find some free apps that are available from Google, which you can maybe use for your project, for your specific area of concern. So you can just try it out once. The other good tool that I found was Trello. So Trello is a tool which is simply a board, which is a Kanban kind of a board, which is available for to do, in progress, and done. But you can also update it. You can configure it, not update it, configure it. There are some plugins available in Chrome and Firefox for Trello, which helps you in making it, using it, for Scrum too. So if you don't want to spend a lot of money on the ALM tools that we talked about in the last slide, you can simply go ahead and use free tools like Trello to maintain your product backlog. Even the plugins that I'm talking about in Chrome help you add, help you story point and estimate things in Trello. You can create checklists if need be. So it's a very good tool that can be used. So this is in short that I have about how distributed Scrum can be done. I can totally understand that in this world it's difficult to have one definition for all, but we can at least try from one or two suggestions from whatever I've told you, and try to make the life for people working in distributed Scrum a little easy. It's definitely a challenge. There are things that can be done, like when you are working for a product owner who is not located with you, you can simply plug in a proxy product owner where that person belongs to your team, but frequently he's present with you all the time, but can simply go to the client side to understand the requirements and understand product owner's mindset, and come back and work with the team so that it makes things easier for the team. He's available for all the queries for the team. So there are a lot of things that can be done. Each has its own flavor of doing things, but communication, opening up communication channels, making collaboration for your team easier, and building up trust are the most important things that are needed. So that's it for my side today, and Saket, we can take the questions if you want.
Yes, Sakshi, and I have already started assigning you, so you can see the questions, I think, somewhere in your interface. Okay. Can you see them? Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see them. So if the question is from Amit Verma, he says that team is distributed across globe. How do we conduct daily stand-ups? Amit, the ideal case will be that we have, at least before you, generally if you're working with the US, at the east side, you can have your stand-up somewhere around 5:36, with people sitting in US. It makes things easier for them. Try your best to at least have daily stand-ups with them, and try them if it is possible to have a video conference, that is the best. But if that is not possible on a daily basis, at least you can have your daily stand-ups with the team here, and on alternate days, not daily but on alternate days, you can have these stand-ups. Okay, Sivakant has a question that how does working on a distributed team impact agile maturity? So it does not, it's with time that you gain that maturity about how to work and have that mindset of accepting changes from people who are from different cultures and are not co-located with you. It just comes with, a little bit of effort. But definitely initially you have to have an open mind of, being adaptive to this change of not being co-located but distributed. First have that mindset that's okay, that if we are not even co-located, we can still try it to happen. And as I've told you, communication and collaboration are the best tools that you can use to have that agile maturity. I hope that answers your question. Sriram asks that how does the team do a review in model 2 and 3? Do they wait till everyone is available? So you don't wait till everyone is available, but the Scrum Master needs to set up a time when everyone needs to be available. You don't want to wait for each other. Being punctual in such cases is more important than anywhere else. So everyone needs to respect each other's times. If in the second model, which was about all the members being differently located, you definitely have to fix up a time where everyone is comfortable. It's not about just imposing it on them. We can just ask everyone, okay, these are the 2 or 3 time slots that we're giving you. Are you which one are you comfortable with? And then we come to a consensus and define that, and people have to be available. Because again, if we miss even a single person in these discussions, we are losing on some great information. We want everyone present. So definitely everyone needs to know that respect everyone's time and be available. Okay. The next question is, will it be right to say that distributed Scrum is a way to achieve SAFe? No, not exactly. It is not a way to achieve the scaled agile framework. In fact, even in scaled agile framework, everyone prefers initially, the first preference is everyone feels that if the team is co-located. Right now I'm working with a team which is following SAFe. We are around 40 to 50 people on the train. We have four teams that are there on the train, and then we have the program management separately on the train. But it is not the way to achieve it. Distributed Scrum is just a challenge where you have no option, but your team is distributed. You can't go without it, and then you have to think of the ways to come out of those challenges. We can't just sit and crib that, oh, it cannot be done. It is a challenge, but we can face it by just a little effort. Then we have a question by Vikas which says, for multi-team Scrum, are all have same task or different? Will they work from the same sprint backlog or different? No. So Vikas, what happens is when you're working on a multi-team Scrum where you have different teams working on Scrum, the product backlog is definitely common, but every team defines their own sprint backlogs. It is not, the sprint backlog is not common, but the product backlog is common. A multi-team Scrum comes only in a case where there is a big product backlog which needs to be, which cannot be completed by one team, and there are a lot of things that have to be done. You decide to have more than one teams because as Scrum suggests, you should not have more than 7 ± 2 people on one team. So the maximum you can have is 9. If you need more resources on the team, you need more people to be working, you definitely need to have multiple Scrum teams owning the same product backlog but different sprint backlogs. Then we have Nishant, who asks that how can teams bond in distributed locations apart from day-to-day work so that working becomes easier? How to handle ego issues or misunderstandings? Nishant, I know these kind of issues come a lot when you're not co-located, but for these scenarios, I suggested that at least, it's not possible because of budgetary constraints that everyone travels to the other location or meet frequently, but still we should try to have some people travel to other places, or frequently have occasions where we try, especially at the time of release planning or these kind of occasions, that we try to have the team together, physically together, and so that they can talk, they can go out for lunch, they can even try to talk on different topics rather than work. Because when you talk to other people about topics which interest them, their hobbies and things like that, and not only work, it's easier to build that bond. And even misunderstandings and ego issues go away when you see people, how they're working, how they are putting in effort. When you see them physically, it really helps. Then we have Alpesh, who asks, what is the difference between distributed Scrum team and scaling Scrum? So scaling Scrum is a scenario where the functionality that needs to be built up is big enough and cannot be handled by one Scrum team. In that cases, there are different models that are followed, like SAFe, LESS, are two that I can talk about right now, which help you in defining multiple teams who are working on the same functionality and are interdependent on each other. Distributed Scrum is a scenario where people are geographically not located. It can be just one team also, something like just 7 people working in the team, but all are sitting in their home and contributing to the product that they're working on, but one person is in maybe India and the other person is in US and third person is in Japan. So it gets a little different that way. Even a scaled Scrum can have a scenario where one team is at one location and the other is at different location. That's a different that adds up to the challenges. But altogether they are totally different. Now Vinod asks that how does the grooming and whiteboard session can be conducted in distributed team? Vinod, I think in the later slides that I shared, you must have seen that what are the various ways that you can use. There are a lot of digital whiteboards that are available. You have tools like Trello that I talked about, where you can use for your product backlog handling, and mind mapping tools like MindMister. I definitely like that tool. It can be used for putting your thoughts, brainstorming from different locations when you are not maybe a time zone difference or something, the other person is not available, and then come together in a session or a meeting and discuss them. The next I have is from Atmaram. He wants to ask that in distributed teams, Scrum Master should ensure that all Scrum ceremonies should involve members from all the teams. Is my understanding right in achieving transparent communication? Yes. So Atmaram, I would say definitely it's the Scrum Master's responsibility to orchestrate these ceremonies, to organize these ceremonies, and ensure that all people are present. But it's also the responsibility of each one of us as team members to assist the Scrum Master in achieving it, because we need to ensure that if he's organized something, we need to be present there. We need to show our presence and be there on time and not waste other people's time. So transparent communication comes with everyone talking to everyone, and not like half the information is just with the Scrum Master and he wants to give one piece of relevant information to one person, and things like that. Everyone should know everything. We don't want to hide anything from the others. So these are the ones I think, Saket, that you've assigned me for now. Are there any other?
No, I think we have covered, and there were few which were related to certification or something, which I have replied, or I have given a link of our previous hangouts. So incidentally, we had 2 hangouts which were on distributed Scrum. So if it would be a good idea to visit our Discuss Agile channel. So those hangouts were done under a Discuss Agile a network user group, and they cover many interaction related to distributed implementation of Scrum. The recent webinar was all about backlog refinement in a distributed environment. So I would request to the audience to visit a Discuss Agile channel and check these hangouts. And if you have a subsequent queries, feel free to post them in our forum. So we have a forum.eisenbridge.com where the interaction can continue. Anything related to the distributed Scrum or anything related to Agile and Scrum, if you have any query, please post it there. Yeah, so that is what I have to talk about. So thanks, Sakshi, for a session on distributed Scrum, and we hope that we will see you again with some more interesting topics. And thank you for presenting this session. We will try to put these presentation slides on Sakshi's SlideShare, so you can upload it in a PDF format, Sakshi, and share the link with me, so I can pass it through our LinkedIn page to all the participants.
Okay, Saket. Thank you so much, Saket and Eisenbridge, for getting this organized. And thank you everyone for being a patient listener. If you have any queries, you can send them to Saket or as he's mentioning on the forum, and then we can provide you answers with them and ways to achieve success while working in distributed Scrum.
Thank you, friends. Yeah, bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.